Hi, Ray Hayden here, and today is a burn day, and so you can see in the background I got the fire started. When I'm starting the fire, I don't do any video of the process because I need to keep my mind focused on the safety aspect of it. I'm not wearing any gloves right now. I'm about to put some gloves on. I got my eye protection on in case some ember comes out and hits me. You know, might bounce off the glasses. As you see by my shirt, I do get hit by embers because I get in pretty close to the fire when I'm working on it. And when I'm actually tending the fire, I don't, you know, I'm not focused on the camera. If I have a camera going, and normally I don't record fires anyway, but I like to keep my focus on what's going on over here. In a few minutes, I'm going to, or a couple of seconds here, I'm going to add a piece of video. I'll, you know, pause this one and start it up again. And what I'll do is I'll discuss how I apply the fluid to the fire and then start that up. I've changed the procedure. I used to use matches. It's just very dangerous to do that, so I suggest not doing that. And as you can see here, the fire is going to burn down from the top, and then some of it's going to burn up from the bottom. And then this will burn all day. And most of this stuff that you see here from my other video, most of this stuff here will be gone today because this fire will end up getting very hot. But I'm going to take a pause now and set up some other things for this fire. And then we'll talk about a little bit of safety here. I wanted to mention that up front. This grass in Florida, there's nothing but sand underneath the grass. The grass is growing on top of sand. And that's just pretty much what we have. And so there's a big ring of sand around the fire generally. And then beyond that, there is a, just change my tripod setting here a second. And then the, you know, I use the tractor. I have the tractor on standby right over here in the background. But the tractor is a fire prevention, or, you know, help me to assist putting out a fire. I grab some sand, I can dump it on the fire and things like that nature. Some of these embers are getting pretty hot, and that will actually end up being a pretty big fire. And like I say, it's going to go all day. But I'm going to stop this video now. It's going to be a little bit of drizzle, and the setup I have is not waterproof. So rather than taking a shot at ruining my camera, I'm going to put this in under an overhang over here, and then I'll come back over here once this fire is established and working, and then I'll go ahead and talk about some of the safety things when I start one of these fires, because they can get pretty big. But I follow all the safety protocols by the county, by the forestry service in Florida, and I make sure that I, you know, keep things as safe as I possibly can. All right, so hang on. I'm going to talk about some of the safety of the fire when I start this thing up and some of the procedures I changed to recently. All right, so hang on for that. Burn pit, it's over there away from the house a bit. It's actually raining, so I can't show video of the fire because I'm using a GoPro right now, the Hero 8 Black, and it's not waterproof because I have it in a cage. And I'll make a video about that in later, specifically. I was talking about the fire thing. That is a red gas can here, and it's regular gasoline. But in here is diesel gasoline. We don't use these. This is a 1 gallon jug. So the 1 gallon, 4 ounce jug is kind of too small to be worth, you know, using it to fill it up with gas. But it is fine for filling it up with diesel fuel to start a fire with. I want to talk about that because gasoline will explode. If you put gas on a fire and touch it with a match, you know, at the end of your finger, you're going to probably get scorched, if not worse. So you got to be real careful. And the neighbors around here do burns. You know, we are allowed to, and the county recommends that we do burn the debris on our property. So what we do is, you know, we make a safe place. We follow all the prescribed regulations and warnings and everything else, and we do a safe burn on our property. But with this little can here, this top is kind of connected here. You'll see this connection, but I actually remove it. So when I'm going to use the diesel and put it on the debris that I'm going to burn, I remove it. It has kind of like that straw thing in there. It's an older type kind of thing, but it's the best for this particular purpose. Unless you use some other kind of, you know, container that you can pour the diesel on. The other part of it is this particular can has this, you know, this is a kind of an air, lets air in while you're pouring it. If I had this opened while I was applying the diesel fuel, it would just pour out. It would come pouring out pretty fast. And I don't really want that. I want to control a minimum amount to the amount of diesel fuel that I'm going to put on there. And put this down for a second. And the reason why I'm doing that is because I want to control how much is going to happen, how much of the fire is going to be going on. Now, in most of my other fires, as a matter of fact, this is the first fire that I actually used and a different type of lighting thing other than a match. I was sick and tired of lighting 10, 20 matches to get the fire going because diesel fuel burns, but it's more of a compression kind of thing. In a diesel engine, it works differently. And part of that is that the diesel doesn't explode, it burns. So what I did is I picked up, and this step is being made by Bic, any number of these lighters. It's usually for a grill or if you're going to light a fire in your fireplace, if you have a fireplace. Anyways, this little device, there is a push activation here, and that gets the fluid going up to the front, and then you pull the trigger, and there it goes. So it lights, and as long as you hold the trigger, you can let go of that other part, and then you get a little flame. So you can hold that flame onto the diesel fuel until it starts burning, and then get away. Diesel fuel as opposed to gasoline to start a fire pit fire. Okay, so we're back, and I talked about some of the safety precautions that I take. If you look around the base of the fire here, you'll notice there's still a sand circle around the fire pit. Now, some of the light debris and everything that was on top had fallen down and kind of it burned, like pieces of it would burn up, and then other parts wouldn't burn, and they'd fall outside of the circle, but they'd still land in the sand. So there's no, danger of anything, and that's why I put that sand circle around the fire pit, is to make sure that it is, nice and safe. And then I accelerate the fire using my Ryobi. It's a 40 volt tool. It's the blower, and if you blow on the fire, like kind of fanning the flames kind of thing, then that'll get the fire burning pretty hot and pretty high. You'll see a lot of flame in that. But the other thing is, I wanted to make sure that I actively manage the fire, and I don't normally show video of me doing that. I don't show what I do, how I do it kind of thing, because if I'm recording something as a videographer, I tend to worry about the video, the quality of the video, and things like that for the most part. But when I'm dealing with fire, like electricity, I don't want to take any chances, But the fire is pretty safe. I'm right here. I can manage it. I'm far enough away from it where it's not dangerous to me. But I did want to point out something about danger here. You'll see a lot of holes in my shirts that I wear outside, and that is from the fire, and it's when I use the blower to fan the flames there and get the fire burning pretty hot. Some of the sparks will fly off, and if spark lands on this thing, it just melts. These shirts are not fireproof. They're not fire protection, other than I know that something's going on because I see holes forming in my shirt. But the shirts that I wear with the hoodie and the long sleeves and all that are actually for sun protection, not fire protection, because they'd be very bad at that. Or up against my face, these glasses are for debris coming in and hitting my eye. They're not going to protect me from a burn, and they're plastic, they can melt. So I have to be real careful about that too. The glasses are not, they don't prevent smoke from getting in my eye. They don't prevent the plastic from harming me. The plastic can get pretty hot and actually put a burn mark on my face if I'm not careful. So I got to make sure I don't get too close to the fire when I'm actively managing the fire. And that's also, because it's a dangerous proposition, that's why I don't actually video record myself doing that part of it. Again, I just want to make sure that, I practice safe fires. There's no such thing as a safe fire. In fact, this fire is pretty big. Again, it's less than 8 feet across, but it's still a tall fire, and that's some heavy wood in there. We still got quite a bit of wood left over, that we need to get burned up as well. Plus, we got more debris that we're going to be bringing over here for the fire pit. So, and with that rain, I'm sure there's going to be another branch or two that fell down somewhere, right? So, that's going to wrap it up for this. This is a fire. This is a fire pit. That's what we do. We get the fire going, and we let it go all day long. And I've stopped adding more material to the fire pit because it needs to burn up within a day. And my experience with these fires here is, even though they're buried up, even though they're all burned out, and even though I cover them up and stir them up and do everything to do it, it's still a hot spot. There's still heat coming out of that spot, and there's enough heat that if I use my blower on it and kind of blow the coals and get them hot again and really get them going, I can actually start a fire even though I'd already put the fire out. The fire is, you know, kind of out, but is it really, you know? So we have to be careful with our fires. We have to, you know, watch ourselves, make sure that we, you know, follow all the prescribed safety recommendations and everything from your local communities, and make sure that we're doing everything right. And then even then, we still have to be prepared to have to become a personal fireman on our own fire and get that thing under control, and make sure it doesn't get out of control in the first place. But should something go wrong, we are responsible to make sure that that thing gets put out as quickly and safely as possible. I also want to talk about this location for the fire pit. The tree may or may not look closer than it is, but there's a tree back here. There's a couple of trees around this fire pit, but they're far enough away in distance by the prescribed safety measurements. You got to be so far away from a house, people, other people's property, onto your own property a certain amount, and you'll have to fire less than 8 feet in diameter or less. Only so high. Make sure it's controllable, and be smart with your fire, right? But this location here happened to be a tree trunk. It was a tree trunk, and it was like a perfect height for like a picnic table or something like that. And I kind of thought about maybe trying to do something with it, and decided against that because it also had a little palm tree trunk next to it. Those I've been using this location to do the fires to continue burning out the growth that's underneath the ground, right? You got your tree stump, usually stump it so much below ground. And I got to tell you, for the first bunch of fires that I did in this location, that tree trunk that was underground, just a couple of feet underground, it was burning for a long time. So this, the property was kind of a hot spot here. That's why I kept the grass cut real low here, and I took my metal rake, which is actually over here by the sandbags, but the metal rake, I go around and I make sure that there's a sand pit around where the fire is, where the fire is about to be, where the fire is currently, and where the fire is going to be after it's done. So where the fire was, I make sure there's a nice big sand circle around the hot spot to make sure that there's no grass or leaves or anything in the way that can reignite. All right, so that's going to wrap it up with this one here. The fire is going pretty good. It's going to go for the rest of the day, and that's going to wrap it up on this fire. And with that, I want to ask you for the favor, give me a thumbs up, like this video, make a comment below, let me know you came by to say hi, and if you haven't already done so, please hit that the subscribe button and join the channel. I greatly appreciate the growth on the network, and until I catch you in the next video, take care and be well.